Good morning. Welcome to MasterTrader, where you can learn to use simple market and stock analysis to make money investing and trading. I'm Greg Capra. I'm going to take a look at the markets here today after yesterday's new little mini crash. So let's see where things are going. By the way, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you get updates as we do them. So I'm going to go through some of the futures markets and a few stocks. It's kind of interesting what's happening here this morning. I think maybe it's just a little lull before the next storm that might be coming here. And the ideal thing would be for this storm to get over rather quickly, and let's move on to stabilization. And I think the next move to the upside. Maybe it'll take a few weeks or so, but we'll see how that plays out. If I have gold up here that pulled back, and it's interesting, sometimes gold actually moves to the upside as the markets sell off as they did. That didn't happen this time. And we see that gold is relatively flat here this morning, really not going anywhere. And the market is, as I see, it's kind of on hold here, kind of waiting for possibly the next shoe to drop or to see whether it can move back up again. There was a lot of uncertainty yesterday until things picked up to the downside, and I think we're going to start off that way, maybe in front of the weekend. We'll see which way it goes, but they may just leave it alone until next week. We'll see. But let me show you what's going on here. Before we go to the broader markets, let's take a look at crude oil, which also came down from the highs. And what we're seeing here is basically there is little to no safety place to go run as to where sellers are coming in and taking control. But again, we see some stabilization here in the pre-market. I think it's just kind of sideways. It's a 30-minute chart, but still going to the downside, and this hasn't reached any significant support just yet. So we'll see what happens here. Now, when prices do start to move down, as these are here, and this concept is universal to everything that we can trade, you can get little bounces within that initial move down, or if just the opposite, if it was going in the upward direction, you can get little pullbacks. But essentially what we want to look for is where the next significant target area is. And for crude oil, that would be down here around $57, $58 or so. So we'll see where that goes. We want to take a look at, where's my bonds, just continue to the downside, and some have said this is the culprit for the market actually going lower. And in reality, as bonds go down, the fact that interest rates go up isn't really much of a concern, because that's exactly what they're supposed to do when we start hearing that unemployment is at a low and the economy is making money. Interest rates, right, as bond prices go down, interest rates go up. That's what they're supposed to do, because as things improve, you and I and other companies go to the bank and you want to borrow money for expansion, expand your house, expand your business, buy new equipment, so on and so forth. The real concern becomes, and we're very far away from that, is when you have short-term and long-term interest rates coming together. And that's this red area down here. We're very far away from that. So it's not really a concern at all that interest rates are moving up. It's what they're supposed to do, and while they do get some attention in the short term like they are right now, it's not a concern. So don't pay attention to that. What we're concerned with is what's happening in the broader markets, and we look at the NASDAQ 100. It hit support. It had a little minor bounce, and this is actually a good thing because it suggests that this correction will be over relatively fast. And the ideal situation is let's get the next leg to the downside over, which could be down around this 200 MA, and where I have some support here. This line, wherever these green lines are, there is some price support. It's not Fibonacci levels, which are useless and subjective and so on. This is based on price. What we see again, prices are just chopping around here sideways, pre-market, which could just be building another base to move to the downside, which would be ideal and what we actually want to see. to get this correction over quickly. It's worse when it moves back up again and it, goes up and down and jiggles around and spends time. The faster it goes down, the better it's going to be, because the better or the faster we're going to get this correction over with. The Russell, needs to go down as well. It's here on some support in the 200 MA. The S&P 500, the 200 MA, is right down here. Ideally, we'd be looking for it to go a bit lower and push down through that, maybe into this area under 250. But again, it's just hanging here pre-market doing nothing, which when you see something in a downtrend and it retests a low, there's always going to be an attempt to move back up again. We'll see if that is what plays out. The transports need to go lower. Again, this correction is broad-based. There's nowhere to hide if you're on the long side. Things continue to move lower. Stocks that are water leaders, Microsoft needs to go lower. Just hanging out, going sideways here. Google, hanging out, going sideways, waiting to see what's going to happen. Amazon, same story there. Ideally, it comes down here, maybe to the 50 MA. What else is hanging here this morning? Well, not everything is hanging out. NVIDIA, that reported earnings, is up $22, and the star of the morning so far, pushing up toward this 239 area, and was as high as close to the 250 area, which is an incredible comeback. It's been an incredible stock over the last couple of years. So overall, it's a wait and see. You've got Facebook, needs to come lower and just hanging out as well. So at the open here, I think it's going to be that type of wait and see scenario, which way things are going to go. Ideally, they move to the downside and we see some excessive pessimism, and we started to get some of that yesterday at the close, but it's not quite enough yet. We need a little bit more, and I think one more nasty day would do it, or a couple of smaller nasty days pushing prices lower, and we get this pessimism down to an extreme level with markets moving down as they have, and we start to look for long-term opportunities again within this ongoing bull market. So that's it for me for today. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend. We'll talk next week. Take a trial to one of our newsletters and learn more about how you can profit from the markets with MasterTrader.